And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners public hearing for June 9, 2020. I am Commissioner John Hutchings, the chair of the board. Also present is Vice Chair Commissioner Ty Menser and Commissioner Gary Edwards, and our County Manager Ramiro Chavez, and a host of very smart people. I don't see everybody's list, so I can't introduce everybody here. But welcome to this public hearing. I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll tell you again in a minute. If you wish to join in via conference, the phone number is 360-252-9020, and the PIN number is 1234. The topic of this public hearing is to renew Emergency Housing Ordinance Interim Regulations, Titles 20, 21, 22, and 23, related to homeless encampments. The purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public testimony on the renewal of ordinance number 15792, which enacted interim regulations related to emergency housing for homeless encampments within Thurston County Code. This is a virtual public hearing. Those wishing to testify have either joined by Zoom, by phone, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners webpage and select the Agendas tab to the left. The information to join this virtual public hearing via Zoom is at the top of that page. You may also join the via conference. As I said, the phone number is 360-252-9020, PIN number 1234. If you do not wish to testify, but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Thank you. We'll have Kelsey Crane, staff member, brief us and provide information on the topic, and then we will get into public comment. If you wish to testify, I'll tell you up front now, and I'll tell you again when we get there. You'll have 3 minutes to testify, and time may not be donated to another party. And when you're called on, please state your name and address for the record, because this is being recorded. And the clerk of the board will keep track of the time for us, so you will know and we will know when your 3 minutes have expired. So with that, the public hearing is now open, and I'm asked Kelsey Crane to present background information of the proposal, written comments that have been submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. Hello, Kelsey.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
Would you please provide us all the information that we need?
I would love to.
Thank you.
So to begin with, my name is Kelsey Crane, and I'm an education and outreach specialist in community planning and economic development. I'm here today to present on the Emergency Housing Ordinance interim regulations being considered for renewal. In regards to this public hearing, public notice was published in the Olympian on May 19th. A web mail notification was sent to interested parties on May 28th, and a media release was issued on June 1st. So for a bit of background and context, homeless encampments are currently allowed as a permitted temporary use in unincorporated Thurston County under Code 2035 Homeless Encampments, Ordinance number 14402, which was adopted in 2010. An entity must first obtain a permit and remain in compliance with homeless encampment regulations in order to establish a camp. In 2018, Thurston County declared homelessness to be a public health crisis with resolution number H2 2018. These interim emergency homeless encampment regulations that we're discussing today were developed at the direction of the board in response to this declaration. The interim regulations were originally adopted on June 25th, 2019 by the Board of County Commissioners with ordinance number 15792 and are set to expire on June 25th, 2020. In May 2020, the board added language to the whereas section of this interim ordinance highlighting the county's commitment to pursuing affordable housing. No other changes were made to the language of the interim ordinance. Under the interim regulations, if Thurston County declares a public health emergency through an adopted emergency resolution, the interim ordinance can provide a waiver of some requirements for emergency homeless encampments for a period of 6 months. The Growth Management Act allows interim regulations to be renewed in 1 or more 6-month periods if the board holds a public hearing and finds a public health emergency continues. Renewal of the interim regulations is requested to allow time to research emergency homeless encampment issues, complete the planning and public review process, and incorporate new guidance from the state. CPED staff is collaborating with public health on this. Renewal of the interim regulations are not intended to be a major review and update, and to date, these regulations have not been modified or applied in Thurston County. If renewed, the interim regulations will be valid for a period of 6 months and would be up for renewal again in December 2020. So to review the actual interim ordinance regulations, they provide a toolbox that can be used or not as context requires, instruct staff to continue research and collaboration around best practices in homeless response, allows the county to more flexibly work with partners at a regional capacity to address the homelessness crisis, and it creates an option for an entity to apply for the loosening of certain homelessness encampment restrictions and regulations during the permit application stage. Still, any and all waiver requests must be approved by Thurston County's CPED director. So for an example, these interim regulations could allow for more persons in a permitted temporary homeless encampment if approved. Without this waiver option, there is an established 40-person maximum limit under Ordinance 14402. As of 2 p.m. today, staff received a total of 12 emailed comments, all supporting the renewal of Emergency Housing Ordinance interim regulations. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You're muted, Commissioner.
You're muted, Hutch.
I forgot I coughed a few minutes ago. Thank you, Kelsey. Commissioner Edwards, go ahead, sir.
Are there currently any homeless encampments, an organized homeless encampment like what is being proposed in the unincorporated area of the county?
To date, there haven't been any applications.
Okay. Are there any locations that are being reviewed as a homeless location that you're aware of?
I know that there were several months ago and have not heard of any recently.
Are we currently offering mental health or drug treatment to individuals that are in need out of these homeless camps? And have we had any participation that you're aware of?
That might be out of her purview too.
Is that out of your purview? That's fine, if it is, that's fine.
That will be public health.
Nobody's here to address that right now, okay. Okay, that's good for
All
now,
right,
thank you.
Commissioner Menser, any questions?
No.
Kelsey, I have one. I'm looking at the FAQ sheet that was put out.
Okay.
And it says no action has been taken since this ordinance was first passed by the board. And yet we have, where did I highlight that? We have added a pressure to incorporate ADUs in the rural area of the county. Nothing else has been done regarding this homeless encampment to help alleviate some of the unhoused population?
I know that CPED staff is going to be addressing the ADUs, and we did add language regarding housing into the whereas section of the ordinance. So it's definitely a hot topic that's going to be addressed.
Okay, it is not a topic. And I was just also previewing and reviewing the comments that were submitted here. There was numerous comments in support of extending the interim. Have there been any negatives that you've received?
I have not received any negative.
You've been, okay, I might have missed that in your presentation. I'm sorry, because I was muted. Okay. No other questions? Does any other staff, whether it be Josh or Jennifer, anybody else have anything to add to the conversation at this point? No?
I would just like to ensure that we have a clear answer to Commissioner Edwards' second question.
Introduce yourself, Josh.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Josh.
Certainly. Joshua Cummings, Director, Community Planning and Economic Development. And the second question I believe Commissioner Edwards asked, is there any applications under review, under consideration? And the answer to that is no.
Thank you.
Okay. So now that we've had the background and such, I appreciate that. Now we're going to get into the public testimony piece. So I'm going to ask individuals on the Zoom to testify. And since I'm in my office, away from everybody else, I'm going to ask County Manager Renewal Chavez, who can see people on the screen, see their names. He knows who's on the phone. I don't. So please, let's go through this in an orderly fashion, Romero. Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you, Commissioners. And I will go by the list in which I have it on my screen. That may not necessarily, it will be the list in which they joined the meeting. So let me begin with, and I'm gonna use the name in which shows on my screen, okay?
But I would also, let me interrupt you, please. You have 3 minutes each, and Amy Davis is the
Yeah,
clerk. She's
we'll
taking.
track the time. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
It will be a buzz similar to what you have used in the normal public hearings.
Okay, thank you.
So the first one that I have on the screen is with the name FinCast. Could you please unmute yourself? And let me know
And
when you're
identify.
ready, and we carry the 3 minutes.
And then name and where you live in the county. Thank you. For the
Name,
record.
the tag name FinCast, please unmute yourself.
Says they're connecting to audio.
Yeah, they haven't. I'm a security consultant. That means they're not fully loaded in to hear us yet, so they can't hear what you're saying.
Can you unmute yourself?
They can't hear what you're saying if they're connecting to audio.
Okay, we'll come back to FinCast. We'll move on to the
Yeah,
next
we'll
one.
come back. So the next that I have is a phone number with a 360-951-8888. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, this is John Pettit. I live on Rich Road in East Olympia.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, I was reviewing, and I'm pleased to hear that there's currently no homeless encampments as such in the county, so it seems like this is kind of an odd thing to be pushed. And what we have here. Thank you. Okay. We have no current homeless, I should say, approved homeless encampments at this particular point in time. My concern is that the ordinances as written in the particular element provides for a very low bar element. And I think that if you are going to allow these camps, you should be, in fact, including a higher bar. And one of my concerns. So, that being said, I take note that there's 202 convicted sexual people in the county, of which 102 are either transient or without any actual verifiable location. Now, what I saw in these amendments here, as scratched and approved last time, provided that there was no requirement that they will do it. Organizations may require some of that. I think that anybody that has children that's going to have people of homeless nature, transients and such, would like to have the availability of at least knowing whether or not they have someone that they need to protect their children from. I think that that's an example of where we need to go, is to not approve this, but instead to put it on the back burner. It said a year ago you were going to be working on this for a year, and we haven't come up with any good program yet. So
Mr.
I'm going to
Bennett,
encourage you to turn it
time is
down.
coming to an end.
Okay, and I note that last time that Gary Edwards voted against it, and Commissioner Hutchings and Ty Menzer voted for it. I will thank Gary Edwards for helping protect children, and I'm suggesting the other two commissioners think about whether they want to have sexual predators roaming around without even being checked on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. The next that I have on my list is Sue Laggins. Please unmute yourself. Your name, where do you live in the county?
I was just gonna listen. My name is Judith Lang, actually, but I go by Sue, and I live at 2908 Country Club Road in the county, right down the road from one of our commissioners. I'm here just to listen because I'm very interested in helping these people who have no homes. They don't make enough money to have a home to live in. And believe me, there are people, that are on Social Security making about $900 a month, and they have a card, so they need insurance and gas money and food, but there's no money for housing. And they can't find a room to rent. They're happy with a room to rent. They can't find anything under like $700. And I met a gentleman, he's got 2 master's degrees in writing and in library science, and he's 74 years old, and he's living in a truck, and he's really getting sicker and sicker. So we've got to do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next that I have on my list is Ms. Sherry Silverman. Please.
Sure. This is Sherry Silverman, and I live in Tumwater. And basically, I submitted 2 comments to Kelsey already. I just want to read the one that I submitted the most recently, and this is Emergency Housing Ordinance 15792, and states already in the wording, in the body of the text, emergency continues to exist. And since Thurston County just entered phase 2 under the COVID-19 pandemic, and as Washington State and Dr. Yu have told us that we are still seeing increasing numbers of positive test results in this county, and we've had an additional death reported this month, that it's clear that a public health emergency continues to exist in the county. And so I think the need for this ordinance to extend is even greater than it was last year when I testified last time. I'm asking for a 2-year extension, actually, because according to the CDC and all the US epidemiologists that I've seen specialize in coronaviruses and the World Health Organization website, COVID-19 will continue time into 2022. So in order to protect everybody's health, everyone, of all our residents, no matter where they live or no matter how they live, I think that wish you'd get off and let us do our good government actions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
So what I'm doing is, for those who interrupt, I just remove it from the list.
Good, thank you.
And I'm not admitting anybody else. If they'd like to submit any comments, they can call the conference call. Because it seems like we've been hacked today.
Yep.
So the next,
Yep.
that I have on the list is the name Rares. Please unmute yourself.
That person's been posting obscenities in the chat.
That's the one, yeah, that's there's one of the immature ones. Thank you.
So let me remove,
As has the person named Ion.
Yep, Ion's
Let
gone.
me- Thank you for checking on that.
And Trump as well.
Let me find that person. I don't see it in my list. Okay.
And Justin Spurgeon is out. Or should be out.
Is out. Yep. So the next that I have online is Como TV. Please unmute yourself and provide testimony. Then the next item that I have is Como TV. If you'd like to testify, please unmute yourself. Coming in.
I was removed from the
Apparently-
meeting and can't get back in. It says I was removed by the host.
Apparently, Como does not wish to testify. Maybe they're just getting a news story.
And that completes the list that I have. Let me go back to the ThinkCast. Please unmute yourself. Can you reach out? Seems like you're trying to connect to audio. If you'd like to testify, please call the conference call landline.
Hello, can you hear me?
Are
Yes,
you with the name ThinkCast?
No, this is Lisa Remmer.
Okay, thank you. You'd like to testify?
Yes, thank you. I want first to say thank you, Thurston County Commissioners, for wearing masks. I know that many of us go out to the stores right now, and we always try to wear a mask and gloves because we realize we don't want this virus to spread. So by wearing yours, you're again reminding all of us good practices so that we can contain this virus. I also want to say that the young men who called in that are very upset about this, many people, all of us are very upset about the virus. All of us are very upset about the homeless situation. As you know, before the virus occurred, we had huge homeless issues, and I've been following the Thurston County Commissioners' work on this issue. I applaud all of the work that you have done on the homeless issue. I know that you have hired Keely and other wonderful staff to work on this homeless issue. Thank you. I heard this morning during your Thurston County Commissioner meeting that I believe the Washington State Department of Commerce has given Thurston County around $15 million to work on these issues. So that's very important that we use this money appropriately. I'm hoping, as was said in the past, that we can work with, this is a regional issue, this homeless issue. I have gone out to visit my friends in the unincorporated parts of Thurston County. I've lived in Thurston County for over 30 years. And I have seen homeless pull their carts with their children out of the forest. So someone who says that we have no homeless out in Tenino, out in Yelm, I think they're sadly misinformed, because I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's very distressing to see these families pulling this stuff out of the forest and trying to get to a place where they can buy groceries and whatnot. So I myself have been working at the food bank volunteering, and I see the families come by because they need food. And thank God we have a wonderful food bank that's working to help these families keep eating. They don't have to choose between paying certain bills and eating. They can eat because of the food bank. It's really good food. I see it myself. But my point is that we have to use HUD housing. This is a regional effort. City of Olympia has led the way. City of Lacey has done very little. The City of Tumwater has done very little on housing issues. We need to follow the City of Olympia's example. I heard your staff report today that the YMCA is giving people the opportunity to have showers, which is fantastic. I myself have friends near a homeless encampment, and I noticed that the City of Olympia has been putting trash cans out. The trash is so overwhelming that the trash cans are always full. I wish the county would help pay for these cans all around the county to be put out there so the homeless can use these cans to get rid of their refuge.
Ma'am,
And so,
your time is
yeah.
up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
I don't have anybody else. I have a gentleman on the waiting list, Ms. John Newman and Madeline Bishop, so I will admit them and they can provide testimony.
Great, thank you. And which one's first?
Ms. Madeline Bishop,
Madeline Bishop, okay.
can you unmute yourself and provide testimony if you wish? Ms. Bishop?
Yes, I wrote my testimony and sent it in. I was just watching other people.
Yeah, we do have your testimony in writing. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I am in favor of this, and also, like Ty said, I don't understand why we have to keep doing this so often. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next person that I have is Mr. John Newman.
Mm-hmm.
You like to
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes, the City of Olympia has stepped forward to help the homeless in many aspects. And as we all know, it's a countywide situation. And I support the commissioners moving forward with any effort to help the homeless. And there were some suggestions earlier today. I didn't catch all of it. Supporting showers downtown. And as someone else suggested, helping pick up the garbage. So that we don't have any more disease issues in the encampments. Thank you.
Mr. Newman, can you state
Yes.
for the record where you live in the county?
I live at 1902 Burbank Avenue Northwest in Olympia.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Is there anybody else on Zoom?
I have a couple of on the waiting room, but I believe those were the individuals who were disruptive, so I will not admit them.
Yeah, don't. Great, thank you. Don't bother.
So let me check the conference call. Somebody has joined through the conference call.
Thank you.
Is anybody on the conference call who would like to provide public testimony today? Is anybody join us via conference call who would like to provide testimony today? Please unmute yourselves. Last call.
Okay.
Those who have joined via conference call, if you'd like to provide public testimony today, please unmute yourself.
Okay, I think there's no further testimony.
Yep.
And so now we'll enter into discussion as a board. Commissioners, any comments or questions? Yes, sir, Commissioner Edwards.
I can, if you prefer, I can make a motion and we can discuss the motion, or we can make, is that okay?
You may consider making a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Well, we can discuss it before, or we can have a motion with a second to close and then discuss it. Well, let's do that. Go ahead, Ty.
Second. Move to close the public hearing. Commissioner Edwards, seconded it.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Discussion on that motion? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The public hearing is now closed.
I'm gonna
So
make
now
a,
we can,
I'm gonna make a motion to approve renewal of ordinance number 15792, establishing interim regulations related to emergency housing for homeless encampments.
were you second that, Commissioner, or not?
No, I thought you were gonna second, sir.
Well, I will second it. I second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the renewal of the interim regulation for emergency housing for homeless encampments. Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards.
The reason I am opposed to this is that we do not do enough for our homeless community in the area of treatment, either for addiction or for mental health issues. And the majority of these folks are not from around here, and we don't seem to be able to provide them with adequate services. And so, because I feel it is detrimental to decentralize this community, I think it is better to keep them in the incorporated area of Olympia, where they are encouraging homeless folks to come from all around the United States. And so until we can offer adequate treatment, both mentally and for addiction, I think we should keep them located in one location, so that when the time comes, we may be able to entice them into some treatment and hopefully make productive citizens out of those folks. If they're spread out, I don't think that will happen as easily. Thank you.
May I ask a question, a clarifying question? How do you define sufficient mental health and substance abuse help or offer adequate? How do you define that?
Well, I would say that we need an incentive in place to encourage those individuals to participate in both of those activities, both addiction and mental health treatment. Sometimes that incentive is to hold them accountable for their actions, and maybe through a specialty court process, allow them to seek treatment rather than some other penalty from the court.
So we should get them involved in the criminal justice system as an incentive to get them help?
I think there's ways to do it without getting them involved in the criminal justice system. I think there's diversion and alternative programs that we could get in place, but we're never going to solve this problem by spending money on it without holding them accountable and asking that they participate in betterment programs.
I'll go back to my initial question though. How would you define adequate offer of assistance or sufficient mental health and or substance abuse treatment that they apparently are not getting or getting offered now?
I'm going to
per your allegation.
I'm going to guess that we probably will never reach adequate or sufficient treatment for all of the participants in need, but we do have to do something besides just build them a place to stay. And I'll just use an example. Coyote Village was supposed to be transitional housing years ago, and we have not had any success stories come out of there. We've had people move in and they stay put. They don't do any transitional progress to get into being productive members of society. They don't attend wellness programs. They don't take treatment. They just take up the space. And as long as we allow them to do that with no accountability, I believe it'll just continue forever. I think we need to have accountability mechanisms in place, so that we can entice them into treatment.
So you answered my question for me. This is not an indictment on Coyote Village, which I'm sure they have an opposing view, but you said there's not going to be sufficient or adequate mental health or drug substance abuse treatment for these folks. So what I'm hearing is you won't be in favor of this in any stage then, if there's not going to ever be that.
Oh, no. I would be willing to be in favor of it if we did offer, but currently we are not offering anywhere near what we need to do. So that's kind of my
I disagree with that, but before I get on my piece, go ahead. Commissioner Menser, anything?
Yes, I think Kelsey laid it out at the beginning. This simply creates a tool in our toolbox. We don't have to waive any of the requirements. It just makes them waivable. Gives us the ability to waive certain requirements if the circumstances are appropriate. This has been frustrating to me. This has took us many months to even get this enacted last year. And it's really just a predicate to taking a step that we need to take, which is to try to create more stability and case management and stuff to our homeless population. So Quixote Village is an example of something that started as transitional housing but became permanent supportive housing, which is another thing we have a terrible need for in the community, and saves a lot of money on prisons, prosecution, and police. So I support Quixote Village, but that's not what this is about. This is about very simple homeless encampment and concentrating it all in downtown Olympia, where it's hurting our business and our economy, is not the greatest idea. So I think we need to have tools in our toolbox. I wanted this to be a permanent tool in the county's toolbox, and I voted for our staff to work this up as a permanent emergency ordinance, but I was outvoted there. So in lieu of that, I do support this interim extension because it keeps this tool in the toolbox at least for 6 more months. One of the citizens commented about sexual offenders. It's exactly why we would do something like this. If you don't have a managed camp, you have sexual offenders who are transient out in the community. You have no idea where they are. And that can be a real risk to children and all the things that the citizen identified as being a concern. So that's exactly why you want to invest resources and work on housing, work on homeless response, making sure people are connected to services and case management. You can't make that a predicate to being there, or else you have homeless people without housing, which just creates a whole cascade of other problems. But I do believe I do agree with Commissioner that we need to beef up the capacity of our mental health treatment and how we outreach to our vulnerable community. So as far as today's concerned, I strongly support the extension of this emergency ordinance.
Thank you. Kelsey, if you're still there, when was it, and maybe you know this, Romero, when in 2018 did the VOCC by ordinance declare the homelessness as a public health crisis?
I think Kelsey outlined that at the beginning. Can you give us the date, Kelsey?
Just at what month? What season?
She's muted.
You're muted, Kelsey.
Hi, sorry about that. I don't have the date on the top of my head. I just put 2018.
Right.
So I can't answer that question for you.
You're off the hot seat. That's fine. My point is, that was 2018 that the Board of County Commissioners declared by ordinance the unhoused or the homelessness as a public health crisis. That was 2 years ago. And the prior board unanimously declared it's a public health crisis. That feels good. But what have we done? Because the previous board was not all on board to get involved with the cities. And in the last 2 years, we have now been involved with the cities, with the Regional Housing Council, trying to address this issue and do something responsible. I have no idea, none of us do, with a about 25% unemployment rate in Thurston County, whether more people will lose their jobs as they don't get jobs back, as businesses close or they can't open successfully quickly enough. We don't know if that unemployment rate is going to go up or down. We don't know if it's going to add to the homeless crisis downtown or in any of the cities in this county. We just don't know that. And whether they're from Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, Yelm, or Kansas, these are unhoused people that are living here in our community that need assistance. And I can't think of a better way than to manage that by way of getting a roof over their head, whatever it's made of, hygiene, and find out again where sex abuse or sex offenders may be hiding out, rather than have them living in the woods. I think it's a managed site is a responsible thing to do to help folks, and it's not just a gimme. And we call it the Regional Transition Center, if whatever we have one, is to transition in and then out. In comparison with Commissioner Edwards, what he said with Quixote Village, where people have transitioned in, and many of them, or most of them, have not moved out. I believe we are, and I say we collectively, are providing a great deal of incentive and or help for mental health treatment to folks if they wish it, but we can't force it on them. And the same with substance abuse disorder. We can't force it on them, but we offer and offer and offer. And I'm not going to use the courts or the criminal justice system to force someone into treatment. We can't afford that. We can't afford that option either. Many go that route, but that's a choice they make. We can't force them into that. So for those reasons, I'm desperate, not desperate. I'm definitely in favor of extending this by 6 months, as we've done other ordinances on an interim 6-month basis to gauge 6 months down the road. Where are we? Are we in better shape, the same shape, or worse shape? And then take effective measures to amend anything that we have taken or need to take in regards to the ordinance. That's where I sit right now. I'll go back to my seatmates. Commissioner Edwards, go ahead, sir.
Commissioner, can I address the question you asked before? I have the answer for you. It is June 14th, 2018.
Wow, almost to the day, 2 years, almost to the day. Thank you, Kelsey.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Edwards, go ahead, sir.
During that whole time that from June of 2018, I have been advocating that we create the ability for residences to create a auxiliary dwelling unit, ADU, on their property to alleviate some of the need for housing. We've not been successful in accomplishing that either. I know we're working on it, but here it is 2 years later. So what I'm advocating for is, yes, we need to have affordable housing, but I still feel that for now, we need to keep the population of homelessness folks as consolidated as possible where we can offer the services. Because if we allow them to spread out throughout the county, the philosophy from the city of Olympia is to encourage more homeless folks to come from all over the United States to come here and live what I would refer to as a deviant lifestyle, because I don't think they want to follow the norms of our society. So for that reason, I'm opposed to it. I'll not go on and on. I know we all have our positions, so thank you.
Okay. And to that point, you're right. We are still working on the ADU, accessory dwelling units, for folks as well. But I'm not in favor of taking a population of unhoused people and spreading them out all over the county either. I'm not in favor of that. Commissioner Menser, any final thoughts?
Just that I just got to call Commissioner Edwards out a little bit. He's changed his position because before I became commissioner, I sat in this room on December of 2018. I'd just been elected, but I hadn't taken office, and there was the city of Olympia had asked for alternative sites, and he was a strong advocate for finding other sites in the county. He asked staff to look for other sites. He was championing a site in Tumwater near the jail. So now he had believed that you could divide the homeless population up, find an alternative site outside of downtown, and that wasn't an objection. So you've changed your position. I'm not sure why, but I just wanted to point that out.
Could I address that, sir?
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
Okay, yes, I did. I was an advocate to keep the homeless centrally located, and I did advocate for a location up by the jail, and I think I advocated for a couple of other locations because I want to assist the business community in downtown Olympia and try and place these folks in one central location where they can have treatment facilities available to them, but out of the mainstream of the downtown core. I have advocated for that. For whatever reason, those locations didn't pan out. And I've received so much comment from residents in the unincorporated area of the county that say they don't want this to spread throughout the county because they're afraid that as these people move out of the city of Olympia area, the general area, that there will then be new homeless folks come here and backfill in behind those that move out. I feel that's probably gonna happen out on Martin Way when Olympia gets done spending millions of dollars there. I think they're gonna create about 60 apartments for homeless folks, and I think it's a mistake. I think throwing money at this problem is not the answer. Treatment and specialty courts, if you will, diversion, if you will, something besides the jail and criminal justice. I do think there's other mechanisms in place, and we haven't explored those adequately. So for the above reasons, that's why I'm not in favor of allowing the potential spread.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, that motion carries. There's our motion to close. There's a motion to adjourn. We don't need to adjourn. We're adjourned.
You're done.
We're done. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the public who has joined us today.